Is there anything that you remember? Did you just black out after that, or?
Oh no, I remember everything vividly,
Mm.
completely vividly. It was the finish of the match was um, Rick Steiner comes off with a bulldog. Boom, hits me with a bulldog. Turns me over to cover me. Scott Steiner comes out, hits Rick in the back with a chair. Rick falls off. Scott puts me on top. 1, 2, 3, and WO wins. That simple. We've done it a million times. That's what was laid out.
Yeah.
So Rick comes off with a bulldog. We're getting ready to go home. So we call it you go home.
Mm-hmm.
And he comes off with a bulldog. But when he comes off, he misses me. You can't you can't not hook a guy's head with a bulldog. But keep in mind, you're facing this way, and you got 280 pounds coming off the top rope behind you. So he's got to hook your head when he goes down, or you're going to blow it. You're going to mess up.
Yeah.
Well, he came off and he missed me. So live cameras are rolling. So I try to catch up to it. Try to catch up to at least they could say, well, he partially caught him, or
Yeah.
he partially caught him with a bulldog or anything to save, us not looking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is when he missed me and he hit the mat and I went into him, my head went back real hard. And I was instantly not like stinger, not thinking I was, not thinking I was paralyzed. I was 1000%, no doubt about it. I was paralyzed. Not like in my head, not like I dreamed it up. I was paralyzed because I've been hurt a bunch of times. And this is a feeling that I've never felt before. And not to mention, to boot, I couldn't move.
Yeah.
So I'm literally suffocating in the mat because I can't move because I'm paralyzed. And Rick goes to turn me over to cover me. And when he turns me and gets me right here, my mouth, I go, I'm paralyzed. When our eyes met. And Rick's like, oh my God, but what do? There's live cameras rolling. We had already made wrestling real again, bro. It was real again. And here we can't all of a sudden break, kayfabe and act like everybody's okay.
Yeah.
So if you watch it back, you see me I'm yelling a million miles an hour, dude. I'm like, I'm hurt. Don't touch me. I'm paralyzed. You can just, from the corner to the right, it'd be like if I'm on my back, the camera that's right there, it's just right on me. And you can see me just going, I'm just going 100 miles an hour because I'm trying to tell everybody that I'm hurt and not to touch me. And so so what happened is when I was saying all that, Rick covers me. Scott hits him with his chair. Rick just throws himself off of me. And Scotty's just going to get my arm and put my arm on top of Rick. 1, 2, 3, the bad guys win.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's simple. Well, he does that, hits him with a chair. Rick falls off. My arm goes on Rick's chest, and my arm goes. Because I'm paralyzed.
Yeah.
It ain't staying there. I can't control it. It's like, So I'm like, my arm just goes back. Well, now there's 2 guys laying on their backs, and the referee goes, 1, 2, 3. And we're like, well, what the hell do we do now? Who won? Who did? And I keep in mind, I could care less who won. I'm paralyzed. So I'm like, oh my God, my life's over. And believe it or not, though, it was so surreal. I didn't cry. I didn't get upset. It was just real. It was a fact. It was just there was no real feeling about it, except the fact was I was paralyzed. And I mean, Scott Norton's crying, Lex is crying, Steiner's crying, and they're trying to play it off, but everybody's upset. And then here I am, I'm going like, look, man, in that 10-minute period, I've been totally paralyzed for 10 minutes. I went from being extremely depressed to Christopher Reeves was still alive. And I said, I can go to schools and I can talk to schools. And I'd made a negative. I already made a negative into a positive in that short 10-minute frame. And believe me, that's a short 10 minutes when you go from, being totally paralyzed to making it a positive situation out of it. And so sometime in that 10 minutes, the trainer goes, his name was Danny, and he was our trainer, and he goes, your hand's moving, Buff. And I couldn't raise my head up and look. All I could do is go. Because I was 3'4", which is about right here down. So I can move my head, but that's about it.
Yeah.
1, 2's your breathing. So I'm at 3'4", which is just right below breathing, which means about right here. And so right here down, I was paralyzed. And so I looked, and I could see my hand starting to move a little bit. And I thought, oh my God, and all of a sudden it came up and it stopped right here. Just my arm came back, but not fully, but just it was kind of back.
Yeah.
And then this arm came back and stopped right here. And then this leg and it stopped. And then this leg and it stopped. And when it comes back from commercial break, if you watch, when it comes back from commercial break, you see me go like this. I'm laying on my back and you can see me, I'm trying to kick out. Like, come on, man, kick out, I'm doing that kind of look on my face. I'm kind of nodding my head and trying to get moving. And I got this, I go. Now, if I didn't tell you that, you'd never know it. But if you watch it and you see me do this, I'm feeling if I can feel my core. And I can't. I couldn't feel it. So by that stage, I'm taped down, tape over the forehead, on the board, all taped down and stuff. So there wasn't no, and they don't answer you when you ask questions about your neck being broke. They don't answer you. I was like, hey, does the guy tell me, am I paralyzed? I can move my fingers and my toes. Am I paralyzed? And they won't answer you because they don't know. They don't want to give you some false information,
Yeah.
So nobody would answer me. I finally cussed them. I finally said, look, man, what the hell? Tell me. And a guy whispered in my ear, he goes, we're not allowed to say, he said, because we don't know. We're not doctors. He goes, and we don't want to tell you something that may be wrong information. So it made sense. So I had to wait 2 hours. And 2 hours later, the doctor comes in the room and he goes, sit up. And I said, what? So it was like God took my life totally away from me. And then God totally gave it back to me. It was weird. And then, of course, as I'm sitting up and I'm moving my arms and everything, where I couldn't move anything before, I said, what happened? And he goes, medically, you bruised your spinal cord. So a cervical disc shot and hit my spinal cord. Well, when it did, thank God it didn't sever it. It just hit it.
Okay.
And when it hit it, it swells.
Mm.
And when it swells, you think 100% you think you're paralyzed. But the swelling goes down and then you can move again. And that's medically what happened to me is I bruised, even though it still broke my neck at 3, 4, and 6, 7. What happened to my spinal cord was it bruised my spinal cord.
Wow.
That's crazy. I know, dude, but that's and I was back in the ring in 10 months. And I mean, back in the ring, like ripped and shredded and back in the ring.
Yeah.
I was ready to go again, but it wasn't easy as I thought. I thought it'd be easy to get right back in the ring, no problem. But I went down to the school and had Eric Watts just pick me up to slam me. And I said, pick me up and slam me. And he picked me up and I go, no, put me down. And I said, oh, come on, just slam me. He reached to slam me again. I go, put me down. Mm-hmm. And so finally we pulled a blue pad in there, pretty thick pad. And we just started with some rolls, just me rolling on the pad.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, I was tackle, drop down, leapfrogging, drop kicking, hip tossing. It just took a few minutes to get going, but then I was fine.
God, man,
it was crazy. It was a crazy, crazy ride, bro. And I just had I paid $88,000 for my lot that day to my mansion I built that day.
Oh,
I wrote the check for $88,000, got in my $85,000 Jaguar and drove to Columbia, South Carolina. And I'm thinking, how am I going to pay for that check?
God.
What am I going to do about that?
Oh, man. That day.
It was crazy. And then obviously I had thoughts about my motorcycle. I'm not being able to ride my motorcycle no more and all that, It was a trip. It was a ride, bro. It was a trip.
That's what I was going to say too. You were, as big as ever during that time.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was my thing my big thing with God is I'm a big not saying why.
Yeah.
I don't ever ask God why.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody should, because if you get into whys with God, you're getting into territories you shouldn't be in. Why is my kid retarded and your kid isn't? Why is my kid an athlete and your kid isn't? Why is my kid good looking and your kid isn't? Why is bad?
I agree.
But when you get paralyzed on live TV in the height of pro wrestling history, at the height of your character being Buff Bagwell, you badly want to say why.
Yeah.
But I came up with another way to say it instead of why. And I said, is this really the plan you had for me?
Mm.
To be able to be paralyzed on national TV in the height of pro wrestling, is this really the plan you had for me? And, of course, I didn't hear no voice come back. But that's the only thing I could think of to ask him is not without saying why. I badly wanted to say why, but instead it came out like, is this really the plan you had?
Yeah.
And obviously it wasn't, because I made it back.